Planet Water Podcast.
Hey guys.
Hey there.
Hey, Planet Water, the H2Know podcast. I don't want to say season 2, but it's part 2. Well, the second episode, huh, Chance?
That's right. It's already seemed like it's been such a long time since the last one, but I'm itching to get back into it.
Yeah, welcome everybody, and I'm glad that we are back. And I have to say, I told Chance in the last episode we wanted to do bi-weekly the episodes because I didn't have so much time. But then when I realized all the positive feedback what we received, I thought, okay, we have to move on. We need to do it a little faster, and we're really trying to all the people who reached out to us that we're doing this now weekly. And I think this will be great. This will be a lot of fun. That's the reason today is Wednesday. We're taping here in Hollywood, and it will be hopefully released then in the next 24 hours. And then on Monday, we are already doing the next one, Chance.
And the reviews really have been amazing since the last one, and we definitely appreciate all the positivity. It's been really cool to look at.
Yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right. And we wanna showcase some of the reviews as well. Let's see if I can find them right here. They're going on a podcast, obviously, and you know, you can find us not just on YouTube. We are on iTunes, on SoundCloud, so we are pretty much everywhere, and obviously Google Play as well. Let's see. Sure, I don't find it right now. That's typical for me. Show on iTunes. Here we go. Now we're coming. And here are the ratings. So we have 27 ratings for the first episode.
Solid 5.0.
Solid 5.0, yeah.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, that's really amazing, guys. And when you see this on the screen right now, when you're watching us on YouTube, you can see it because we always have a screen up front, and you can watch the reviews as well. And please keep it coming, huh? I love to see reviews. Hopefully they will be all 5 stars. This would be nice. I would love to have that. But it's great. So I'm very happy. And I know we have to thank all the people from Your Mom's House podcast, obviously, as well for this. Because a lot of the reviews are coming definitely from Your Mom's House podcast. Because when some people says, Mommy tie jeans...
I wonder where that's coming from.
Or Water Champ.
What's all this tight jeans business?
Yes, so it's definitely coming from Your Mom's House podcast, and again, or Hey Mummies, for example, here up front here, and Jeans Up. I love this as well. Now, thumbs up, Jeans Up. Thanks again for Tom Segura and Christina Pasewski, who gave me the platform on their podcast, Your Mom's House podcast, and to be there twice on, and definitely I will return at one point. And it's always fun to see all the reaching out from all these amazing people from Your Mom's House podcast. And I love you guys. I have to say this. I really love you guys. It's fun to talk to you. They're sending me emails. They're sending, obviously reviews. And it's cool and fun to see all this. Wonderful. But we have a guest today, Chance.
We do indeed.
Yeah. The third mic finally arrived.
Finally.
And I'm so happy to introduce Stefan. Stefan Juling is a very, very close friend of mine. And Stefan, tell me a little bit, how did we meet?
We met back in Berlin, actually, back in Germany. And it was, how long ago now? 10 years?
Oh my God. Wow. I feel so old now. 10 years already?
It is 10 years, but it feels like 50.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Stefan.
Yeah,
always.
That's where we met, at the restaurant, first floor at the Palace Hotel. And you were the GM of the restaurant, and I started as an assistant sommelier there. And that's
wow.
Yeah, that's where we met.
So
that's was pretty epic.
Yeah, this was the restaurant where I created the first water menu in 2005.
Wow.
So I showed you this on the last episode, Chance, and this was the water menu from the restaurant first floor, like over 40 pages. And Stefan helped me a lot with this back in the days. So really? He's a certified sommelier as well, Stefan. Where are you certified from?
I got certified at the Wine and Sommelier School in Germany in 2007. And since then, working as sommelier with wine, with people. Love it.
How long does it take to get a certification?
Well, to be certified as a sommelier, you go to a school in Germany, which is almost a year, and it's it feels like full time, but it's 3 days a week basically.
Because you had to work at the restaurant as well the whole time.
Exactly,
no?
But you go to school to actually sit down school where you have a teacher in front of you, and you do. Yes, wine is a big topic, of course, but there's also marketing, how you market your wine is. There's also spirits, there's coffee, there's tea, there's cigars, and also mineral water.
So they're talking about water.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's because by end of the day, as a sommelier, you are not just a wine sommelier to open a bottle of wine for a guest. As a sommelier, you want to create an experience, and most of the time, wine is a great pairing partner for food, but sometimes it is not wine. Sometimes a beer is better for a certain type of food.
Yeah, I have a dessert right now at the Patina restaurant. It's a banana coconut tapioca. And banana, you think like, okay, what kind of wine shall we do to banana? And then I thought, you know what, a German Hefeweizen beer would be even better.
And
because
that beer it tastes like bananas.
Correct. It has a slightly
crazy.
banana taste to it. And I think this is the perfect pairing. And people are always surprised when you're coming to the table as a sommelier and they're thinking like it's all about wine.
Yeah.
And then obviously
They
here
have a
at
beer.
Planet Water, we're talking about water the whole time. So for me, it's obviously a lot of water. But I did this yesterday, for example. I had this table there and they had the banana dessert and I gave them then a Hefeweizen beer and they looked at me like, how cool is that? And it's like, I cannot believe this, you're giving me a beer. I say, yeah, taste this to your dessert. And they're like, wow, absolutely cool.
And that's the opener for your guests to have that wow experience. That's what they go out and talk to other people about. That's how you generate your business in a restaurant, to create wow, experiences.
Yeah.
And the same thing you do with water. If you have more than one water, then guests can choose from it. If you have a whole water menu, then even better.
I absolutely agree with you. And this is the whole point. And we're seeing this, and I think Jens and myself are seeing this on a daily basis at Patina Restaurant, that people are like, first we're giving the water menu, and I'm always telling them, and when you care for a bottle of water, we have like a water menu or a hydration product right here, and I'm giving the water menu, and they're like, what the heck is that? It's like, what the fuck, huh? It's like, are you nuts? and it's always funny to see like, what, a water menu? And they're always laughing.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, a great thing already right there. He's saying we want to create good moments and great vibes. And when somebody's right away like in a good feeling because they think a water menu is funny, I already achieved 50% of my whole goal, what I want to do with my guests, because I think it's great when they have a good time. That's the whole point.
I mean, Martin, if you remember at the first floor, we had over 3,000 positions of wine there. And the whole reason why you started the water menu, I mean, I don't know if you have talked about it, but if you do, why you started that, remember?
Correct, yeah, I absolutely remember. We talked about this in the last episode, that a guest came to me and said, hey, Martin, you have so many different wines, but you're just serving one brand of water. And when you think about it in the restaurant business, again, like you have different beers on tap, you have a whole wine list, you have obviously different liquors, but when it comes to water, our most important beverage in our lives, the server will mostly ask you, what do you want, huh? Sparkling, flat, or tap? And here in LA, I have to say, in Germany it's slightly different, because in our culture, nobody drinks tap water in a restaurant. It's just unnormal for us.
Really?
Everybody would drink bottled water. Everybody knows how the benefits of water, and everybody thinks it's totally normal to purchase a bottle of water. But here in LA, a lot of restaurants, they're just serving your tap right away. And for me as a person who's not really into chlorine, so I don't like this chlorinated taste of tap water. And I understand still, I don't want to badmouth the Department of Water and Power here. I totally understand why they have to chlorinate their waters, because they want to make sure it's safe to drink. And we're living here in a very, very hot climate. And it's, I think, 85 degrees outside. We're on the 13th of December. In Germany, it's completely snowing. Everything is like completely under snow right now. But here, it's like we're sitting here in T-shirts and it's super warm. Huh? We had the climate, we had the air condition on earlier because it was so warm. And now we're sitting here in T-shirts and thinking about water. But I totally get it. So people need to understand that water is not just water. And that's the reason we have these water menus. And I think it's really fun and cool, and I think it's important to have a water menu and a selection on the most important beverage in our lives. But Stefan, because you worked at Patina too.
Yeah.
So that's a funny thing. So all three of us worked at the same restaurant at one point, and obviously Stefan and myself worked at the restaurant first floor, and Stefan already said 10 years ago he met me. So how did you met me? How was the process to get into this restaurant?
I mean, I had several interviews with the hotel director, F&B manager, and HR and whatnot. So, but my final interview was with Martin Riese. And Riese in German means giant, right?
Yeah, look at me. It's like when you see videos of me, guys, I'm 5'6". I'm not the tallest guy here. Stefan is huge. Stefan, how tall are you?
6'3".
6'3", like I'm 5'6". So we all know, like, I'm the small guy here. But my last name, literally in Germany, Riese means giant person.
So,
metaphorically giant.
Yes.
So I've never met Martin at this point after all those interviews, and but I knew he's the general manager of one of the best restaurants in Berlin, and with one of the best sommeliers there from the whole country. And so I had a lot of respect, and still have though. But
for the restaurant, or for me, or for the sommelier?
The whole package, right?
Okay.
But then it came down to the point, it's like, okay, meet the GM, Mr. Riese, who has the final say. And in my head, it's like, oh my God, Mr. Giant, the GM of one of the best restaurants. And, I was very nervous and whatnot. So I was sitting in that giant room on a giant table just by myself, and those doors open and Martin comes in. And
hello, hi.
And as you probably know, Martin is a very relaxed and fun person, and not stiff whatsoever.
No.
And that's how he walked in that room. Like, oh hey, what's up? And he's like, you know what? You went through all those interviews, and I'm not gonna ask you the same questions again. But I do have one question for you. And I say, oh my God, that one final question, right?
The $1 million question.
How many jokers do I have?
Yeah, where's my telephone joker? Or where's my... Can I ask the audience?
And he's like, well, can you handle the craziness? And I was like,
what does he mean?
What does he mean? Is that real life? So he's like, can you handle the craziness? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, welcome on board. And that's how I, got a job, and by handling the craziness. And for sure, it was crazy, but not in a weird or mean way crazy. It's more in a fun way. We had a lot of fun in that restaurant.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it was a fun time for sure.
So I remember something very strongly from the restaurant first floor, because the phone was ringing all the time. Mm-hmm. What did that mean, Stefan?
Well, we had a little back office, like the size of that table here almost. And, with shelves in it and all the stuff you have in your back office. But in your eyesight, there was one shelf completely empty. And at the end of the shelf, everybody had their business card pinned to the end of the wall there, basically. And in front of every business card, there was a glass. Lined up perfectly, It's like, okay. So when the telephone rang, meant that the glasses were full. So when you were at the table and talking to guests, or were outside in the restaurant, and Martin or the sommelier came and said, "Hey,
Stefan,
the telephone is ringing," then you knew what was going on.
We need to drink.
And of course, you cannot cheers in the restaurant like that, right? So we cheers basically with our pinkies. So when we hold the glasses like that, right? So we'd say cheers like that, and
wow,
craziness.
But Chance, the phone was ringing all the time. That was the problem.
So
and sometimes I told my sommeliers, like, is there not an answering machine or something? Because when you already have a bottle when you already drank a bottle by yourself over the whole evening, it's tough. It
was like a call center.
Constant party.
Yeah, it is a constant party. We played golf even inside the restaurant, mini golf.
Wow.
When all the guests went down, and it was hilarious.
Do you think it's still like that there?
No.
No?
Because they closed the restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah, they
You
closed
didn't have
it for
anything
2
to do
years
with
ago.
this, right?
No, I don't know. I left, the sommelier left at one point, the executive chef left, and I think they wanted to revamp the concept. And that's totally fine. I was at the Hotel Palace in September. I love the hotel still. It's in a great hotel. It's a great shape. And I love what the new GM, Michael Frenzel, is doing over there. He's doing a really cool job. He's a little bit younger guy, and he's like has crazy ideas. And it's really good what they're doing with the hotel. But it's too bad that obviously the restaurant where Stefan and I met, and we started our career together almost in Berlin, and now here, because I brought Stefan over here to the States, that doesn't exist anymore, because I would obviously love to go back to Berlin and then go to the restaurant where I've been in there. But hey, it is what it is. It's too bad now. Great.
moving on, right?
Moving on, correct. Moving on. And because Stefan is obviously here not just to talk about water, because we want to do a little exercise today, because it's right now in Los Angeles, 11:49 a.m. And we Germans think there is no time restriction about alcohol consumption. So we were going to drink some wine and water today here on the Planet Podcast.
Very nice.
But before that, I think we should showcase some emails what we received over the week, because I did a little video, and we said this here on the podcast several times. It's important to please reach out to us, guys. So when you see this, when you listen to us, our email address is planetwaterpodcast@gmail.com, and we would love to see some pictures from you guys how to drink water. For example, Erica sent us this beautiful picture, how she's like, and I have to say, it's pretty cool because she has her initials on her portable water bottles. I love this.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So Erica, thank you so much for that great pic. Then Derek sent me an email with Gerolsteiner and the Mountain Valley spring water in his hand. Very cool pic. So thank you so much, Derek, for this. And we received a lot of emails, obviously, from like reaching out to us, giving us questions. This is really cool, that picture of Fiji. And it says, before making ramen for the masses, head chef at Ama Hanale, full-time water champ, cheers and mahau, from Aaron Madsen. Aaron Madsen, great pick.
Do you think that's from Hawaii?
I would guess, huh? I would guess. So this is a great, great, great picture, I have to say.
You like the ramen there?
With all the Fiji bottles in their containers. Another one, and I love this. Starkey spring water. I have very, very good water here from the States as well. And obviously there are two people hydrating themselves, because in the picture, the people who don't see us on YouTube, here we go. My favorite, Starkey, super alkaline, very smooth, but with some ppm. Don't worry, Pedro. I actually love ppm. ppm stands for it's a section for the milligrams of TDS levels.
Oh, okay.
So there's some TDS in that water. And again, TDS, when people didn't watch us before, TDS stands for total dissolved solids. That means actually how many minutes are combined in a water. The higher the number is, the more stronger will be the taste of the water. And I love TDS. I think it's a cool thing to have a lot of TDS in a water. I love my waters with characteristics. And the more TDS a water has, the more characteristic has a water, and I can taste it out. So one of my few waters my body and I like better at room temperature as opposed to chilled. And I think we talked last week a little bit about this, huh? Room temperature versus chilled.
Is there an optimal temperature to enjoy different waters?
I think it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's around 18, 19 degrees Celsius. And now people think like, are you nuts, Martin? How do I need like a wine cellar now just for my waters? Yeah, you need maybe. But maybe. You see it behind me. I love my waters. I really like my waters at room temperature because then I can taste everything out of the waters. But I think a lot of people like their waters obviously refreshing and they want to have it slightly chilled. But when you chill a water completely down, that means you're losing all the aromas. And this is, I think, the same with wine, Stefan, huh?
Yeah.
When you're chilling everything extremely down, the flavors will be going away.
Yeah, that's why you have white wine temperatures preferable to drinkable and red wine temperatures you want to drink your wine, at. Yes, some people like their red wine a little bit warmer or colder, and some people like their white wine very, very cold. And I mean, whatever, suits you, whatever you like, go for it. But to get the most out of it, there are some recommendations in terms of temperature and glasses and all this. You can really get into details, but if you chill it down, it's like ice cream. If you eat ice cream, it tastes delicious when it's cold, but if you have it sit for a while and it gets to a soup, you would never eat that. It's way too sweet and way too overpowering and whatnot. That's why, same thing, temperature plays a big role.
Yes.
I actually learned this the hard way. So I'm from Wyoming, and we're not the most cultivated when it comes to wine out
Excuse me?
And I was having
Please, everybody who's like watching us from Wyoming right now, I apologize as a German person right here.
We actually have some vineyards now. They're using like these grape hybrids out there that can survive in the wilderness. But I had a hot date one night, the very special girl. My mom was like, you need to get some red wine for the date, right? Uh-huh. And I'm like, I don't know anything about wine, right? She's like, oh, no. Like, I'll get the wine. You don't worry about it, and come back. And then I come back, and the red wine is in a bucket of ice. And my girlfriend, who knows more about wine, is like, why is that bottle of red wine in a bunch of ice? I was like, what do you mean? Isn't that how it's supposed to be?
It's a wine bottle, huh? Why we should not chill it down? But I have to say, I chilled several wine bottles down, red wines. Like when you have a nice Pinot Noir and it's like super warm outside, I think it's pretty cool to have it slightly chilled red wine. What do you think, Stefan?
Slightly chilled for sure, yeah. There are some very lighter red wine grapes like Pinot Noir or Trollinger from Germany, which can definitely, handle a deeper chill than, some other red wines. But your 59-degree Fahrenheit temperature, water temperature is one of the perfect red wine temperatures. I mean, a lot of people say red wine is supposed to be drunk by room temperature, but that room temperature comes from back to Dungeons and Dragon time, where you didn't had a lot of like heat, where you lived in a castle and then the room temperature was 59 degrees, So therefore, room temperature is not what we know today
as a room temperature. But even I think it's so funny, culture differences. Room temperature in Germany, I would guess, is higher than here, because here everybody chills down with almost like on refrigerated temperature sometimes with the air conditions, especially here in Los Angeles. And I'm always saying, this is the crazy thing about LA, that when they're inside, they need to have it extremely chilled down. But on the same temperature level, when they want to sit outside, they need a heat lamp. I don't understand the concept still. I'm still debating myself, what is the reason why you need a heat lamp outside when it's the same temperature outside than inside? But inside, you want to have it always extremely chilled down. I think it's something, I don't know what it is. I have no clue what it is.
It's a paradox. We'll figure it out one day.
By the way, heat lamps, like gas heat lamps, are forbidden in Berlin by law.
Really?
And Berlin is
the ones outside like restaurants.
Correct. And trust me, guys, Berlin is a shitty cold city when it comes to the winter time. But the whole idea is behind that, because these gas lamps, this propane, is extremely bad for Mother Nature. And literally 90% of that heat and of the energy of this heat lamp literally goes up there to the ozone. And it's not really healthy. So therefore the German government is saying, hey, it's winter time, you better get a jacket. Or you need to sit inside. It's very simple. But you need to take care of Mother Nature a little bit. And I think it's the right approach. And that drives me sometimes, I have to say, I love to live in Los Angeles, but I have to say that drives me nuts sometimes, that people thinking it's okay with a t-shirt. We all know the Pacific Ocean is not the warmest one in the winter time. So I don't understand why people coming with a t-shirt during the day, don't have a jacket with them, want to demand to sit outside and want then 3 or 4 heat lamps surrounding them.
Yeah.
And this is I think it needs to stop. It should be sometimes come on, get a jacket and you're all good, huh? And you don't need to. I had this once in the restaurant that even a person was wearing a jacket. May I have the heat lamp on? And then pulled the jacket off.
Really?
It's what is wrong with you? Huh? It's please take your jacket on and let's shut down the heat lamp. So guys, heat lamps are not really the best ones. Another cool video, obviously we talked last week about BuzzFeed. And before we talk about BuzzFeed, guys, the pictures what we didn't show, trust me, we will show on Monday. So nobody, please, needs to get upset, because I know we received a lot of pictures. So please, guys, stay with us. And in the episode 3, your pictures will be shown when you send them us so far. And please send us again, more pictures. We need pictures. Keep them coming. Keep sending pictures from you, from your dogs, from your family, who's drinking water, what kind of water is you drinking. Is it tap water? Is it spring water? I don't care. At least it's not purified.
Or what kind of water with your wine?
Yeah, or that. I would love to have some pictures as well. What kind of wine and what kind of water pairings you guys are doing. Or food pairings. Because Stefan is a cook as well. A very good one. He's a great, great, great cook. He cooked for me many, many times already. And it doesn't look like this because I'm trying to stay healthy and skinny. But no, Stefan is a great cook. But we will talk about this a little later. But please keep it coming. And remember our email address. It's planetwaterpodcast@gmail.com. But last week, a week before, like literally on the last week Monday when we launched the first episode, we had the BuzzFeed video coming up. And so far on YouTube, it has been hit by 1 million people. And on Facebook, and when you look at this number right now there, it always scares me. 5.6 million views.
How insane is that?
58,000 likes. And 23.9 thousand shares on that video.
Crazy.
Where I'm drinking water. Let's listen in a little bit to this again.
This is 15,000-year-old glacier water in this bottle.
Girl, that's the age of Jesus.
My name is Martin Riese and I'm the water sommelier. And I'm the only certified water sommelier here in America. I hope you're thirsty.
I immediately was like, where do you get a degree in water?
Where do I get a degree in water? And we talked a little bit about this, and we let the video a little bit play as well. And you guys may remember, I got my degree from the German Water Trade Association. And a lot of people reached out to me as well and said like, hey Martin, I want to know where can I become a water sommelier these days? And we actually trying to get a certification process going here in America. And I will be leading this with Michael Musher. And Michael Musher is from the Fine Water Society. He's like the water guru here in America with me. And Michael Musher will be joining us next week, Monday. So this will be our guest of honor next week. But he cannot come. He lives in Texas. He cannot come over here to Los Angeles. But he will join us via Skype on the screen. So this will be fun. So this is a great thing as well. And I reached out to several water companies already. And they're all very excited to be on our show. Some of them will make it to Los Angeles. And when they cannot make it to Los Angeles, they will obviously Skyped in. So this is the great thing about technology these days. And here, Stefan, you worked at Riese Starkbar, where I started the water menu. You were the GM over there as well. And when I see here the comments, there's a Jamie. Do you remember Jamie?
I remember Jamie, yeah.
Jamie. Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
Thank you so much. And maybe you're listening in right now. And thanks for commenting on this. And it's really funny because she's saying, OMG, Martin. He used to be my boss. I used to bring smart water to work. And he used to yell at me for it. Lol, good times. Yes, I'm still doing it. Oh, I'm still doing this. She got 1.5 thousand likes on that comment and 47 replies. And I replied at one point as well. And it's really funny. It's a great conversation point right there. And you see my... I said like, hey, when you want to follow me, please follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, or obviously on my homepage. There's so many ways to follow Martin Riese, obviously, or just Google it and you will find me right away. And it was really fun. This BuzzFeed video was a lot of fun, and I have to say thanks again to BuzzFeed as well to create this amazing video. We had so much fun, and I really appreciate, and when I'm moving forward here a little bit, that they did something to the end what's for me, very, very, very important. And I think we should listen in for this as well.
And this is very important for me as well, because I strongly believe water should be accessible to every single person on this planet. Water is a human right. We're living on a planet who gets warmer and warmer every day. So we need to change our habits, I think, a little bit about water. We need to realize that water is not just water. Without water, we wouldn't be here. Without water, no life would be on this planet. So let's value water. Let's give water value. And we should all honor water for what it is, the most important beverage in our lives.
The overall experience was just super cool.
I mean, like, I drink water a lot. It makes sense for me to be careful with my choice of waters.
And the most important thing for me, guys, is stay thirsty.
Yeah, you know this, huh? Stay thirsty, everybody. And a lot of people even comment on that. You think, why is he saying stay thirsty? Should it not be like, stay hydrated? The whole point is why I'm saying stay thirsty, and sometimes I'm saying stay hydrated. This is, I think, my little like gimmick, and You don't know when I'm saying stay thirsty or stay hydrated. This will always be made up in my mind at one point. But stay thirsty doesn't mean you need to be thirsty. Thirsty means for me, be out there for new waters. Huh? Be thirsty for knowledge. Be thirsty for new ideas. Just be thirsty. Be eager to detect something new and something more exciting in your life. And I think this is the whole point why we're doing Planet Water, the H2Know podcast as well again, because we want to open minds. We want to create feelings for people. We want to understand that people realizing that water is not just water and that water has so much to offer. And Stefan, I'm getting thirsty now. I have to say. Yeah. So I need some wine and I need some water. And Chance needs to do something here because, again, we're not 100% perfect here still. It's episode 2. And one camera just left us here because the battery was empty. The Mevo, what we used. So we need to pull the main camera, the Canon now, a little bit off. That it can see everybody here, that I can cut it later. So Chance, maybe you want to check this out. The camera is still playing. We just need to get the focus back on, not just on the screen, on everybody, that we have this done. So Chance will rearrange the camera setting, and Stefan, let's open some wines here, huh? Let's get thirsty.
How about bubbles to start with?
I like this.
Yeah. So quick, what I'm doing now. I left restaurant hospitality and started making some use of my German accent, and basically I'm selling German wine here in California, in Los Angeles.
Cool.
I work for Rudi Wiest Selection, which is up on the screen right now. The number one German wine importer for the US. We have 27 winemakers, producers in our portfolio, many of them organic and biodynamic, all from Germany, and that's all we do. Just German wine, but it's amazing. It's an amazing job. I love it a lot, and a lot of the winemakers are personal friends of mine back from Germany. Few of the winemakers come over to LA once a year, twice a year. Martin and I, we know a lot of them. And
maybe we can have some of them at the podcast as well. I think that would be really fun.
Absolutely.
And to see like how they feel about water and what is the important thing for them when they're drinking water and what they're looking out for water. I think that would be very interesting. So your opening right now is sparkling, and is it popping or not popping? What is the proper way?
So the way you see it and hear it 95% or see it in movies is always the big pop and like, you know. But if you open it in a restaurant and you stand next to your guests and the guests are talking and you stand next to them and open that thing and it's a giant pop.
I'm getting a heart attack.
They're getting a heart attack.
We don't want that, huh?
We don't want that. So what you want to do is basically you hold the cork always when you open it, and you hold it, and you have more leverage in twisting the bottle than twisting the cork. Mm-hmm. So you basically twist the bottle back and forth. The cork is coming out, and now you feel it's almost out, and now you tilt the cork to the side. And when you listen, we call it an angel's fart.
Oh.
Listen to that.
Nice.
Beautiful, huh?
Okay, and now this is a
now
really
I'm
funny...
I have a very great image in my head every time
and
that
I
happens.
have to say, I love that you're saying angel fart, because at Your Mom's House podcast, it's all about farting.
So there we go.
So here we go. When Tom Segura and Christina Pasevsky, all the fans of Your Mom's House podcast listening in today, we just had an angel fart on on Planet Water.
So I'm pouring a Riesling sparkling wine. It's traditional champagne method from Germany. Traditional method means it's a second fermentation in the bottle, and it's basically made like a champagne, but it's made with 100% Riesling. It's a vintage. It's 2014 from Von Buhl. The winemaker from Von Buhl, he used to be 12 years chef de cave at Bollinger.
Nice.
Champagne.
I love Bollinger.
So he his first vintage with Von Buhl is 2013. And they are organic. So we have an organic 100% Riesling vintage sparkling wine. in our glass.
Nice. A lot of people always think Riesling has to be sweet, and Riesling is just a sweet wine. I think a lot of people are very surprised that they are actually sparkling Rieslings, that they are dry Rieslings. And it's so funny here in America, and I don't know, maybe Stefan, you can catch on this a little bit further, because I see this in the restaurant all the time, that people always saying, when I'm doing wine pairings, so what kind of wines do you don't like? And they're saying mostly, I don't want a sweet Riesling. Or they're not even saying sweet. They're just saying, I don't want Riesling. And then the first one I'm always bringing them is a dry Riesling. That's the first one I will bring them to right away, again, keep them thirsty, to change their mind about the Riesling grape. Because the Riesling grape is extremely famous and very, very, very good. And there's one little fun story. The most expensive wine on this planet is Domaine de Romanée-Conti. So it's a Pinot Noir grape from Burgundy in France. The second most expensive wine is actually a German Riesling from Egon Müller from the Mosel area. And a lot of people are completely like, what? No way that a German Riesling can be the second most expensive wine on this planet. Yes, guys, it is. We are not just building nice cars. We can produce some beautiful wines as well. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I love this, huh? Cheers.
The one thing you usually don't do, Martin, is you smell on your waters, because water shouldn't have any odor. But with wine, of course, you want to have all the aromas, and that's why you also swirl the wine, that the wine basically touches every part of the glass, so it releases more aromas. So
I'm doing this sometimes with water too. In a regular base, water should not smell, and my grandmother, who survived 2 world wars, she was born 1905, she died in 2004, she was 99 years old when she died. She always told me, Martin, do not drink a water what has a smell. And I have to say, I always believed her, because she was a great human being, a funny, great person. And when you think about surviving 2 world wars, that's nuts, huh? And then in 1950, her husband died. And she was there after the war with 5 kids by herself. She never got remarried. They were fucked their whole lives. Let's face it, guys, huh? They were fucked their whole lives. Huh? 2 world wars, first the first, then the second of this crazy Nazi guy. And survived all this, and then the husband died on her, and that's just like, it's terrible. And still, she kept it going. She was such a positive person, and that's, I have to say, that really inspires me, and I think I have a little bit from her, obviously, because I'm a very positive person, but that's really helpful for me in my life. And I think we should reconsider all the time this, when you think about it, like, in what kind of like life we're living now here in America. Hey, we are living in a great country. It's a great country to live in. The same with Germany. I miss Germany, obviously, and I think Stefan misses Germany sometimes too. But we can be all thankful that we're living in a very peaceful area right now. Obviously, we don't have wars. Obviously,
keep it that way.
Yeah, there's still wars around the world. We all know this. But you don't want to mess with war, huh? Yes, and I think this should be our main focus all the time, to avoid wars in every single way. We need to talk, but we cannot just get in and mess around. That does not work, and we Germans tried it twice, and that really went the wrong way. Huh? We all learned from that, and I think that's the reason why we Germans are very concerned when it comes to starting a war, going into a foreign country, and all this kind of stuff these days.
So
but again,
what kind of water would you pair with
that's
this?
the interesting thing. So we have a lot of acidic notes, obviously, due to the Riesling. And I think it's interesting to see, because we have like several waters in front of us. We have like Fiji, we have Hilden, we have Vichy Catalan, we have Veen, what we never had before on the show. So we were gonna taste this as well, and we have Iskilde today. I think when I see this complexity of the Riesling, and I see the bubbles, I would not go with bubbles as well. Because I think bubbles can interfere too much, and it would be, because the bubbles in water always are very acidic too, it might be overpowering the Riesling, and the Riesling will be even more acidic at that moment. Right now it's beautiful balanced. I think it's incredible, beautiful fruit aromas, but still have this slightly acidic notes to it, what a Riesling needs to have, and that's the reason why Riesling is so easy to drink, because think about Chinese cuisine, or Japanese cuisine, or Asian cuisine in general, about the sweet-sour impact. So there's like 2 complexities were working very nicely together. And I think we have this by this Riesling Sekt from Mr. Bull right now as well. So I think I would go with something a little bit more on the velvety side, a little bit on the smoother side, to balance off the acidic notes. I would do Fiji or Veen. And because we know Fiji very well, let's go with Veen. It's a water from Finland with a very low mineral content and has a very smooth mouthfeel. I've been not to the spring, but I had Veen on the menu in Germany. And I don't think that Veen is accessible here in America. It's kind of sad again. But that's the beauty about... Oh, chance a little bit down the glass because I cannot pour that high. No, go down. Here we go. Perfect. Great. And I don't want to mess up here my mixer and my laptop and everything because I love water, but I don't love water on my electronic devices. But Veen we had in Germany, and it's too sad again that they don't have it here in America. But the beauty about me as a water sommelier these days is that all these companies sending me water all the time. And again, here a little shout out to water companies who may be listening in. Please send us waters. Send an email again to planetwaterpodcast@gmail.com and send us your waters. I'm sorry, we will not do any purified waters because Chance, myself, and I know Stefan as well, we are all against that. And we will do an episode just for that in the future, why we don't like purified water. But when you have a purified water companies, I am so sorry, we will not take your water in consideration here at Planet Water Podcast. So let's taste some Veen from Finland. Cheers.
Wow, it's amazing. When you have the sparkling wine, which is very dry, nice acidity. The acidity is like, it gets your mouth juice running, right? It's you want to have a second glass. It's like, it gets you thirstier, it gets you hungry. That's why it's an amazing aperitif wine. But you have definitely, it's very dry on your palate. It is great acidity is pulling. And then you have the water. If you drink that after, it's almost like a velvet blanket covering the dryness, what you feel on your tongue, the acidity, but it leaves the aromas, which is amazing. So you still have the Riesling aromas of like, apple, a little bit of peach there, but
not the physical sensation of the dryness that's still on your
Correct.
tongue.
Exactly. So I like it a lot.
I think so too. This is a great pairing. I love this. Veen water and sparkling Riesling sounds like a great plan for everybody. So when you're in Finland, and I know the Finnish people love to drink, and they love Rieslings. Because we know Mr. Leitz very well. It's a good friend of us, Johannes Leitz, who has an incredible vineyard in the Rheingau Valley, and he sells a lot to Sweden and to Finland, to the Scandinavian countries. They love to drink. So very sympathetic countries for me. I love this. When a country has like a high alcohol consumption, that's always feels for me like they enjoy lifestyle. They enjoy themselves. That's always a good moment for me. And a lot of people are always thinking like, oh, water sommelier, he just drinks water, huh? He has to be a very boring person. Yeah, I like wine too. I'm not so into liquor, but like I'm a big fan of wine, especially Rieslings, and I love beer as well. But I think from Boer, the Riesling Sekt right now, what we have in the glass is super stunning. And with the Veen water, it's really a lot of fun. Yeah, that's really good.
And what sort of water goes into the winemaking process? Is it different for different sort of wines, or they use spring water or purified water?
So wine as a grape has a lot of, the grape juice basically. And the grape juice gets fermented with yeast. And then when you ferment sugar, which is essentially in the grape juice, yeast converts that sugar into alcohol, and as a byproduct, sparkles, carbon. So if you put a lid on top, you create sparkling wine. If you let the CO2 get out, you have still wine. So therefore, if you have a high sugar content grape and you ferment that, then you get a wine with alcohol, basically.
I see.
So they're not adding.
So there's
any
no
waters.
added water in the process. Wow, that's really cool.
The only water, the impact of water, I think, has obviously the vineyard when they are like putting down water maybe on the vineyard when it's very, very dry. But in Germany we have a lot of rain. I don't think that they need to put any water or like they need to put anything to their vineyards.
There are areas where it's not allowed to irrigate vineyards.
Wow.
So therefore you have to deal with Mother Nature, which makes it much harder for a winemaker, to produce a consistent quality and quantity every year. Other countries or regions, they are allowed to irrigate, meaning watering their wines. It's it's a back and forth. It's like
Yeah. What I recently read is that in California, they're actually starting to use space technology. So satellite images above the vineyards in order to pinpoint and refine the exact amount of water that each vineyard might need in order to optimize the growth and keep it uniform. So it's like technologically expanding as well, like the entire wine growing business, at least in
that is so
California.
Interesting. Hey, well, NASA's everywhere, huh? We cannot just fly to the moon. We can even get some good water now to California for this. Great. Okay. Next. Phone is ringing. Next.
Should we dump the water as well?
Yeah. I will dump this here a little bit into the wine glass. Then we can clear the wine glass. And when we're doing this, in the meantime, a lot of people always ask me, so as a water sommelier, Martin, what kind of water are you using to neutralize your palate? And I think it's actually a good question, because by wine seminars and by wine tastings, we all know that people choosing different wines, obviously, and then they're always drinking water right next to it to clean their palate. Here in by a water tasting, because water is it's not obviously not that powerful in aromas than a wine would be. Therefore, I want to detect every single nuance out of the water. So I do not use another water to clean my palate, because I don't want to clean my palate. I want to have that water, let's say Fiji, with a smooth mouthfeel in my palate. Then I want to go to the next one, let's say Vichy Kalalan, what is very acidic and very high in mineral, and I want to taste the difference. When I would now have between Fiji and Vichy another water, that would make sense in that pairing at that moment. So therefore, there will be no cleaning my palate with another water when I'm doing water tastings. But one little thing, what the coolest thing is after a water tasting, the most enjoyable thing after a water tasting is the glass champagne afterwards. Because I have to say, your palate is so is very training yourself to detect every little nuance out of water, that your palate's really concentrating on high alert. Suddenly is your palate. When you drink suddenly a glass of wine or a beautiful glass of champagne or sparkling wine right after, that is an explosion in your mouth, because your palate is so used to water suddenly, and then this fruit aromas of everything is just literally an explosion. So everybody should do this, and this is comes from me again, from the water sommelier in America. The most interesting thing about a water tasting is the glass of sparkling wine afterwards. Cool. Okay, right. Stefan, what else do we have?
So next I have a Pinot Gris, which is a grape everybody knows, and it's from our very good friend Fritz Becker from the Pfalz.
Close friend, yeah.
Very close friend. Pinot Gris. Everybody knows Pinot Gris. Everybody who drinks wine probably had Pinot Gris tasted, or at least in their glass, and it's a white wine grape. But Pinot Gris as a grape itself, when it's growing on the vine, looks actually almost like dark reddish, brownish in color as a skin color. So what we see now here, I'm going to put maybe the camera can see that.
Oh, look at that.
So you have a pinkish wine.
That is funny.
And that is something which gets created by the color of the skin from the grape wine.
That is very interesting. So for people who, again, don't watch us on YouTube, who's just listening in on the different devices, the wine what we have in the glass is a white wine. And everybody knows Pinot Grigio. So everybody knows Pinot Grigio has a color. It's always a white wine. But this Pinot Gris, or Grauburgunder in the German word for it, has a very interesting, almost like copper,
yeah,
golden,
copper is a good description.
Copper color to it. So very, very unique. Very cool.
So you can do an experiment at home next time you have red grapes at home. Squeeze the one grape in the juice and look at the juice. And the juice is usually clear. But if you leave the grape squished with the juice and the skin in contact, the juice starts to get color. That's how red wine is made, right? And so they use the same principle in this wine, that they basically left the juice together with the skin to extract some color out of the grape skin, and therefore you have a beautiful, colored, natural colored Pinot Gris. And I call this wine, it's a sommelier wine, because if you go to a restaurant and order a glass of Pinot Gris and you get this, you say, that's not what I ordered. I didn't order rosé. So therefore,
yeah, sure. A lot of people will say it looks like a rosé wine.
But therefore, you need somebody who explains that, and therefore it's this one is very, very popular at the sommelier scene here in Los Angeles, because it's definitely, again, a conversation opener. It's that wow effect, what you're looking for, that guests go to their friend's house a day later or two and say, hey, can you imagine I went to that restaurant and they had a rosé, a Pinot Gris with some color in it, and they talk about it, and that's how you spread the word, and
defies expectations.
Your indirect marketing, basically. But since we have a wine in color which you didn't expect, maybe we have a water with some unexpectations.
What? I don't know what you're talking about here, Stefan. Huh? No, but I think it's a very interesting story. And I have to say, Friedrich Becker is a very close friend. He always trashes or crush on my couch when he's in Los Angeles. Last time he was here, he forgot that a red curb means do not park. So he put his rental car right there on the red curb, and the next morning at 4 a.m. he was wondering why his car was gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, that thing is now by the police station. That's gone. And you have to impound that. And then he rang up, because I was completely wasted and I was sleeping. Because we had a lot of fun, but he needed to go to the airport to San Francisco to promote his wines. So Nancy had to wake up. He called Nancy, my wife, and she had to drive him then to the airport at 4 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God. You don't want...
And then you're in bed.
You don't want to know how...
The night.
Correct. You don't want to know the interesting talk I had with my wife afterwards.
Oh no.
Anyhow, but Stefan knows this water very well, and he's absolutely right. There is a water, and a lot of people, when they're watching our shows, know this water. It's Iskilde from Denmark, from a very, very close friend, from Jan Bender. I love you, Jan. I have to say this. You are such a great person. You're so passionate about water in general, not just about his own company, Iskilde. No, in general, he's passionate, and he always wants to help people to understand water better. I met him in China. I've been in Denmark, where he's originally from, where the spring is located. He invited me to Copenhagen. I was there in September this year, and I was in his beautiful, beautiful sommerhuset, what it's called in the Danish language. It's just like a small little vacation home, but it's actually a nice house, what he has over there. So he's a great guy, and Sophie, his lovely wife. It's such a great couple, and I hope that Jan Bender, sometimes he's in Los Angeles, and we will definitely have him here at the podcast, because I think everybody knows Iskilde very well, and everybody's excited to hear the story of Jan Bender, how he discovered Iskilde water. But this water has a very unique story, because the TDS is 420, so it's a medium-bodied mineral water. This water changed colors, and it's kind of like the same surprise what we just had by Friedrich Becker with the Grauburgunder or the Pinot Gris. Iskilde changed into this almost foggy, milky color when I shake the bottle. And let's do this right now here in action. Huh? So 1, 2, 3. I'm the David Copperfield of waters. I can do magic. And you see it right away. Look at this.
Wow.
This thing is completely cloudy now. So people, again, who don't watch us on YouTube, our water it looks like there are thousands of bubbles suddenly appearing from Iskilde water, but it's a still water. There is, in a regular base, there is no carbonation in that water. This is oxygen. And this water is around 7,500 years old when it comes down as rainwater on the ground, and it takes around 7,500 years to go to the spring, and it rises up by an artesian spring. That means it rises up by themselves. And I've been to the spring. The spring house is a little bit larger than our table here. So it's very, very small, than our apartment. It's extremely small, the spring house. And that's the reason a lot of people are always asking me, hey Martin, how is that even possible that some waters are more expensive than other waters? And that's exactly the reason. Some waters are producing 1 million bottles per day. Some waters are producing 1 million bottles per year. obviously, the people who are producing just 1 million bottles, this will be a little bit more expensive, the water, than a water company who, and again, my very existential law for purified water now comes along, who just bottles tap water. Because this is nothing else what purified water is, guys. Purified water is nothing else than boiled up or filtered tap water wherever this factory is sitting, and then they're adding back some very small amounts of electrolytes. And I know it says very nicely on the bottles, electrolytes added, and everybody's getting like excited. Oh, cool, electrolytes are so important for you. Yes, they are. But these companies don't really tell you how many electrolytes they're adding. The electrolytes level of these waters are mostly under a TDS of 40. So it's very, very low.
Wow, that's crazy.
Very low in TDS. Alley tap water has a TDS level of around 300 to 400. So you can already see way more minerals and electrolytes in alley tap than in purified water. Okay, let's taste the wine and then the Iskilde water to it.
Cheers.
In Germany, we're saying Prost. Prost. And because we have a Danish water, it's called Skål in Danish. Skål. Oh, that's yummy. Oh, that's yummy. That's interesting. I think the wine, and this is amazing about Iskilde qualities, in my opinion. I was just drinking the Grauburgunder or Pinot Gris from Becker. And when you think like you're drinking water right afterwards, the water should like completely like wash out everything out of the wine. I think when I was drinking Iskilde and I swallowed Iskilde, right after I had like almost like caramel notes coming from the Pinot Gris.
I was about to say that. Yeah, it has a definitely caramelly taste to it.
So it's right afterwards, you have this caramelly taste. And this is, again, the combination, guys, of wine and water. And this is for me fascinating. And this is like, again, like an incredible pairing what we're doing right now here. A German Pinot Gris from the Pfalz area, from Mr. Becker, with a Danish spring water. Iskilde is just mind-blowing right now.
How does the oxygen get into the Iskilde?
So the oxygen is very interesting because I will be on Bill Nye. We talked, I think, about this last episode as well. I don't know when it's happening, because they told me it will be happening in November. Obviously, we're already in mid-December. You never know with Hollywood, and I understand Hollywood is sometimes very slow. I learned this as well the hard way.
Unpredictable.
Yes, unpredictable, but it will definitely appear. But I think that's an interesting science question for Bill Nye, but I can answer that question. That oxygen, what's in there, is due to the fact that the spring is very, very cold. And very cold water holds more oxygen than warm water does. So that's the reason in your ice cube sometimes you see
the bubbles.
Bubbles, or like this very cloudy feeling as well. Yeah, that's the oxygen what's trapped. And this is the same now with Iskilde. Even it's here on room temperature. This water, when it comes out of the spring, is extremely cold. That's the reason it's called Iskilde. Iskilde means cold spring in the Danish, or ice spring in the Danish language. So therefore, this water has been into the bottle. They're closing it. It's kind of like a champagne then at that moment. So the oxygen holds in there. And when you open it, it even gives this little angel fart. Again, I love this. Angel fart. Like that. And then when you're pouring it, the oxygen will suddenly like appear. And when I shake the bottle, it's the same way I would shake a carbonated water, then suddenly the carbonation will appear as well, because you're like releasing something with oxygen. And this is the same with the oxygen right here. You release it then, and it's very fun to see. And you can even see it in your glass right now, because it's with almost barely anything in there.
That is crazy.
But you still can see the small little bubbles right here on the side right now and right there. And this is the oxygen level of Iskilde. That's for me an incredible pairing, Stefan. Thank you so much. That is really, really cool. I love this.
It is. It's so crazy. Like, you have all these complex flavors in your mouth when you drink the wine, and then you pair it with the Iskilde, and it just washes away some of those, and you get a really strong caramel taste to it.
Crazy, huh?
It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, it's not washing away anything. And that is the key. And then you know this is a great pairing when the wine, because let's face it, you're paying a lot of money for your wine in the restaurant. You don't want to have a water served right next to it, what is washing away all the flavors of the wine, because that would make sense. Or what do you think, Stefan?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you know, in wine, what are you looking for? You know, you look for flavor of several, fruit components, sometimes earthiness and whatnot. But what you're also looking for is minerality. Everybody talks about wine minerality or terroir. And, minerality, terroir, and whatnot. You can read it in every wine magazine, in every wine description. But now, all of a sudden, on water, where you don't have any fruity components or what, and where you basically have the pure terroir, the pure minerality, nobody talks about it. So if you combine those two and say, hey, I'm looking for wine with great minerality, great terroir, or whatever it might be, but then also please go with a mineral water which comes out of a natural spring and brings with the water, basically all the minerals, all the terroir. So if you have a tap water, which is chilled down with ice cubes and then
maybe a lemon even on there,
zest on top and highly
attacks.
chlorinated, what you do is you destroy your palate. Right, you chill down your palate, where we, established before that it impairs your tasting buds. You have a lemon with a lot of acidity, which, also it's like when you bite into a lemon, you're like, squeezing together. That's how your taste receptors are doing the same, basically. And with the chlorinate, chlorine is, bleach is chlorine, so bleach is a cleaning material. And the same thing is, it's almost like numbing your taste receptors. So therefore, be very careful if you buy a wine you like. I don't want to say an expensive bottle of wine, because by the end of the day, you should drink wine you like and not what other people say, not what the label says, not what the price tag says.
I love this.
Drink wine you like, you enjoy, but then please choose a water what benefits the wine, and in a restaurant experience, there's, it's like a pyramid. The number one superstar is, besides you, of course, is the food, right? And then you have wine, and then you have water, So if your water overpowers the food, then something is wrong. Then you choose the wrong water. But everything should complement each other. That's why there are food and wine pairings, and those should be food and water pairings. Food, wine and water pairings. It should all integrate like almost like a gear system, basically. And therefore, if one of them is off, the other gears are not working. Or if if you add something, it's like putting sand in your gears. But
I love that you're saying this triangle and the idea of three components. It's like wine, water, food, and this comes all together. And we all know, and we're having a saying in Germany, wenn ein Stuhl 3 Beine hat, kann nicht umfallen. That means, like in English translated, when a chair has 3 legs, it cannot fall. It will not wobbling. It's 3 legs, it's stable. And that is the whole point. Then it's a stable connection. And I think this is the whole point, what we're trying to achieve in the restaurant business. We're trying to achieve for our guest a stable, incredible moment. And a moment is always just a blink of your life. It's a moment. But this is something very unique and very important. And that's the whole point at Patina Restaurant. Jens and I work, and Stefan used to work. We're trying to create moments. We're trying to create moments for our guests that they're saying, wow. It's not just about eating, because, hey, then you can go to In-N-Out, what I think is incredible burgers. Don't get me wrong here. I love In-N-Out burgers. But like, it's not just about eating for yourself at Patina. It's more about the experience, about sit down and just take the love. Take the love of the servers, take the love of the food, take the love of wine, take the love of water, and take the love of the company you're with. And I think that is very important. And this is like 2 or 3 hours in your life. And I know it's very expensive at Patina, but this is something you should treat yourself to sometimes. It's like the same when you're going to go like to a nice spa area, or you're doing vacation. You're treating yourself, your body and your soul to something unique. And that is the whole point what we're doing at Patina. You're treating yourself to something a little bit more interesting and more enjoyable than just, oh, I have to eat, I have to drink. Cool. What do we have next?
Next is one of my favorite bottle shapes. I mean, not my most favorite, because my most favorite bottle shape is a Magnum bottle.
Magnum means 1.5 liters, guys.
So-
Yeah, I like that too.
Because Magnum it's too much for one, not enough for two. Perfect.
I like that.
But this guy here
Where are the
is
Magnums?
called a Boxbeutel. And Boxbeutel means ram scrotum, like the male sheep, ram scrotum.
Boxbeutel.
Oh, wow.
Boxbeutel.
Okay, so you get the picture a little bit, but I really no, but
I don't know if I want to drink this now.
So this bottle shape is only allowed in Germany in the growing area Franken or Franconia, which is if you look on the map of Germany, right in the middle, and
That's part of Bavaria still, huh?
part of Bavaria and
Northern part of Bavaria.
Mhm. So a lot of sheep farmers, Boxbeutel, the ram. A lot of sheep farmers. So what the sheep farmers did, this guy really fits well in your back pocket. If you compare this bottle shape versus this guy, this fits much better in your back pocket than this guy. It's way too long.
So the farmers are running around with these in their
Yes,
pockets?
I like the idea already. Huh? When I see in Germany, that's typical German style. It's like, always have a box bottle right next to me. Huh?
Oh, boy.
Plus, it's very hilly in Franken, and so if you lay that bottle down on a hillside,
It's not going to roll away.
it's not gonna roll away.
I love
So
this. German engineering right
Right?
there
So
in the
practical.
bottle. Huh? So it's so well thought through.
Oh, my God.
But besides the great bottle shape, we have a wine from Hans Wersching, which is one of the best Franconian white wine producers. And here we have a Silvaner. Silvaner is rather a rare grape in the world. It's more common in Germany. You have it a little bit in Alto Adige, northern Italy, and so on. But it's a very interesting wine grape. In this case, it's a dry Silvaner. It's a Premier Cru, Erste Lage. And this Silvaner, it is dry in terms of sugar level, but has a very nice fruit and very nice aromas on your palate and your nose. So that's definitely this kind of wine where you say, oh, I want a fruity wine, but not sweet. That's a kind.
Prost.
There you go.
Cheers, guys. I feel sorry for the people who are listening and cannot drink with us.
Seriously.
I feel great
Poor guys.
already. It's 12:39 p.m. now here in Los Angeles, and
Is there an optimal time to have a wine tasting?
no. Always. Cheers.
And you definitely have some viscosity. Viscosity, speaking, is like when Martin talks about TDS, is skim milk versus whole milk. All right, so it both is milk, both is white, but on the mouthfeel, it's definitely different. And here you have a definitely very voluminous mouthfeel on your palate. And I'm interested in what kind of water you're gonna.
I'm going to my water closet. People again who just listening us in, I have a huge display of waters right behind me, and it's called my water closet. And I have to say, I didn't have it here on the table, this water, but when I tasted now this is Silvaner, and you talked about this mouthfeel, I think I want to pair something with the same mouthfeel to it. Because Aqui-Life is a water from Australia. I discovered this year. They sent me over a case, and I was blown away of this water. Let's see, here we go. Because this water has a different texture too. And a lot of people always think like, Martin, how is that even possible? Huh? It's water, come on. When you taste Aqui-Life, trust me, you will taste it right away that this water has this almost like a milky, velvety mouthfeel to it. And I think it's very unique. The TDS is actually pretty high on this water. It's 1,300 TDS.
Oh, wow. It's almost olive oily.
Correct.
Yeah, it definitely holds up with the viscosity on both. It's like very interesting.
Did you ever had this before, Stefan, this water? No. It's a new water, yeah. And I'm very happy I will have it at Patina at the new water menu as well. And it's a fun water to drink. And I think it's very interesting that it holds up to this thickness of the wine. I love this. I think it's very unique.
That's what I picture when people talk about heavy water in physics.
Oh yeah. Great pairing. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Cool. We have one more?
We have one more, yeah.
One more. There's one more thing. It's not the new iPhone, guys. No, there's one more thing.
The new eye water.
The eye water. I saw once a funny picture, and it's been circulated through the internet, and for sure some people saw it as well. And it was called eye water, and then they made up like this fake homepage with a bottle of water there, and it looks like an Apple product. And then they obviously put down like, "Oh, great water! It's wet. It's enjoyable." All this kind of things. What like Apple's standing for? Maybe it's like it's funny. It's called eye water, and some people made fun, obviously, of it. But that's an interesting topic because we just had a topic about wet. Chance.
We did, yeah. This is trending. So I have a 14-year-old cousin who also just posted this on her Facebook wall. Is water wet? So this originated somewhere, but it's huge right now. So is water actually wet, Stefan?
Is water wet? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe?
That's a question I didn't get before that. Did not prepare for that.
So what was what's our task on it?
Yes, it is wet.
I think we settled on it's not wet.
It's not
when
wet.
you think
we
about
think
it.
It's not wet. But funny thing is, Brett Spitali called me yesterday, the owner of Aqua Maestro, and he thinks water is wet. He called me up for this and said, "Martin, I saw your post on Instagram.
You have mental issues."
I saw your post on Instagram, and I do not agree that you're saying water is not wet. So what is our task on it? Why we think water is not wet?
So it's quite divided. I mean, you go to this website, debate.org, and it has all the great debates where people vote on like a grand scale, basically everyone on the internet. And right now, it's 52% are saying water's wet and 48% are saying water isn't wet. So it's pretty split down the middle. But when you look at the specific definition, the scientific definition of wet, it's actually the relationship water has with the surface. So when water gets on clothes and it infuses with the surface, it becomes wet. Right?
The surface becomes wet,
exactly.
Not water.
So it's more of a relationship than an inherent trait. So the clothes aren't inherently wet. The water isn't inherently wet. But when they interact, it creates wetness, that relationship.
So it's more like the cause.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then I thought as well, like because I was reading a lot of like ideas about this, and then I settled on this because it was for me logic, and I'm trying to be always logic in my decisions, and I thought it's logic. When something is wet, the opposite of wet is dry, so then it needs to be dry as well. When something can be wet, it has to be dry as well. It has to be an opposite to it. That's what I always believe. When something is like this, it has to be this as well. So water cannot be dry. Somehow. It's like it can't, because water, when it's wet, it's dry. No, that doesn't work. So for me, I love the idea about the contact. So when I'm pulling now water on my jeans, who I keep high and tight. A little like thing for Your Mom's House podcast again. Then the jeans will become wet. The jeans will become wet, but not the water. And I think it's a tricky thing, and it's like this.
It's paradoxical.
Correct. It's almost paradoxical for everybody, but I love this. So I did this post, is water wet? And I said, no. So I think the water sommelier of America thinks water is not wet. Let's run with this. Okay, Stefan. But is wine wet? Maybe it's inappropriate.
Well,
maybe
Rieslings can be dry, so
maybe
if you add too much to you,
it makes people wet. Maybe I don't know. It's already like it's nighttime, or we. You can feel like the wines are kicking in.
The phone's been ringing off the hook today.
Yes, it's great. It's great. We don't need the answering machine.
All right. Okay, next wine we have is, and our last wine is a Pinot Noir, or Spätburgunder as we call it in Germany. And this Pinot Noir is from Rainer Schneidmann, a young dynamic winemaker from Württemberg. He has his vineyards right next to Stuttgart. Stuttgart is where they build Mercedes-Benz and Porsche and Bosch drills and so on.
So it's a very famous city in southern Germany.
Southern
But you're
Germany.
from that area too, huh, Stefan?
Correctly. I grew up half an hour drive south of Stuttgart, between Stuttgart and the Alps, basically.
Did you ever been to the manufacturers of Porsche or Mercedes-Benz?
I have, yeah. Very interesting. Great restaurants in there as well.
Really?
Yeah, they very high class. And
Nice.
at Rainer Schneidmann's vineyard, I did my, as part of my sommelier school, I worked in his vineyard for a while and did some Stemmle putzen, wie es heißt, like taking care of the grapes, basically. So, Pinot Noir. And yes, Germany makes red wine. Mostly Pinot Noir because it's the climate is not too hot in Germany. It's very similar to Burgundy, and therefore we have a lot of Pinot Noir grapes in Germany.
But we are famous for Pinots as well. Huh?
We are,
I
yeah.
think it's getting more and more out of the world as well, that people understand, like, hey, Germans are not just building beautiful cars or inventing cool stuff like MP3. No, we actually can produce some very nice wines. And we already had some very good ones, I think.
Absolutely.
So I choose the Pinot Noir today because I think there are waters out there who can affect the tannin structure you might feel on your palate on red wine. And a Pinot Noir has usually a lighter tannin structure. So therefore we will see the impact much easier than on a very heavy Cabernet, for example. Yeah.
But it still has some acidic notes to it, huh? The Pinot grape. It feels like it's not like this, and especially. But I think
Oh,
it has.
wow, that's
it's-
amazing.
But it has something to do, I think, with the region and what the terroir is. What you just said, because when you think about California Pinot Noirs, they're like this fruit basket, this jamminess. This is like you have like this
Yeah.
raspberry, strawberry flavors, like very intense in your palate.
That's why it's because of the climate. Because Germany is considered a cold climate, so it gets very cold at night. It gets cold at the beginning and the end of the harvest, which is benefiting the aroma production of the wine, which gives you more gentle aromas compared to like the heavy fruit basket. But also it creates a lot of acidity in the grape, and that's what brings the freshness on your palate. Therefore, let's say here in California, the better Pinot Noirs are from Sonoma compared to Napa Valley. Why? Because Sonoma is closer to the ocean, gets more coldness from the ocean, in the evening and at the beginning and end of the harvest season compared to Napa Valley, which is behind the mountain and almost
Super interesting.
is trapping the heat and therefore better for Cabernet.
Yeah, it all depends on Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Again, and this is again like what we're always saying and what I'm saying always in my interviews. It's all about Mother Nature, guys. And I want to detect Mother Nature in my glass. This is with wine. This is with water. I want to detect Mother Nature, obviously, in the food. I know Andreas Roller, our executive chef at Patina Restaurant, he believes that that his food should come from great providers and great manufacturers, and he wants to make sure that the animals are treated well. And then he wants to create amazing, incredible dishes, like moose soup. What we had on the last episode.
To me, this
Moose
has
soup.
like a creamy, buttery taste to it, which is really weird. I mean, it's amazing, but
So what do we think
wouldn't expect
water-wise? I'm a little bit hesitated, I have to say. On the one hand, so I think Vichy would be way overpowering. This will not work at all.
Yeah.
I'm always a little bit afraid about sparkling waters to wine, because this sparkliness this adds acidic notes, and especially when you think about red wine with tannins, but even here we have a Pinot Noir, what is a little bit on the lighter side with the tannins. I'm still afraid even a Hilden from Great Britain, what is gently sparkling, what they're saying, and it has like very tiny bubbles, might be affecting the tannin, and the fruit complexity will disappear a little bit. And I don't want this. I want the fruit and I want the taste of the grapes of the wine. So I think we should stick with still. But there's one wine. Stefan, do you remember which wine I think is considered a perfect wine for sparkling waters? What do you think? He's like, look at me like, are you nuts?
Back to school.
Dessert wine?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I think sweet wines, because think about it. Sweet wines are very oily, buttery, like they're like super rich in sugar content as well. They're intense. And when you're drinking a glass by himself, like very tiny glasses, you're like done for the evening. You're like, I'm done. I don't want to drink more of this sweet wine. Especially when you have a Riesling sweet wine, then already it helps because the Riesling has a lot of acidic notes, so it will balance nicely the sweet complexity with acidic notes. So again, sweet sour, Asian cuisine. It's the same with the Riesling. A sweeter Riesling won't be that heavy, buttery than maybe a sweet wine produced of a Chardonnay grape. What I think is almost disgusting at that point, because it's too strong, too heavy in your palate. And it's literally like you're drinking a sip and you're like done for the evening with this. A Riesling is way better. So I think then, because you have the Riesling acidic notes, I think a water with acidic flavors to it, with a higher TDS, with a nice mineralic complexity, like a Gerolsteiner, a Vichy Catalan, for example. Plus, then the acidic notes of the carbonation will make actually a sweet wine the perfect match. But here, with the Pinot Noir, I think, let's go with Fiji.
Cool.
We have a nice still water here, Fiji water. I have to say, and everybody knows this as well, I'm a big fan of Fiji. This is my go-to water when I'm going to the stores, because you pretty much can get it everywhere. And I know that Fiji is a little bit more expensive than other waters, but I think the quality is very good, what you're getting into your bottle. Because there's tons of silica in this water. Silica is a natural occurring mineral. What Fiji has, I never tasted another water with such a high silica content like Fiji. And I know that sounds crazy because I tasted over 1,000 different springs around the world so far. But it is really like this. Fiji is for me a very, very unique water, even when it's very common and you can see it everywhere, in the States especially. But in Germany you can buy it pretty much everywhere as well now. But I think Fiji has a very interesting taste profile because it's a very, almost like a little sweeter taste to it, with a very smooth mouthfeel.
Super smooth.
And I think with the Pinot, this will be a great fit. So let's see. I will taste first the Pinot.
It definitely, since your palate, it's very dry and almost gets into that, I don't want to say bitterness, but the tannins
bitter,
are tending,
earthy, almost
moving your palate in that direction. And then you push that flavor profile back, basically, with Fiji. It's very interesting to see what's happening there on your palate. I would love to try, Martin, if you don't mind, the Hilden anyway later, just to compare.
Yeah, we can
how
do this.
well
I think it's a great idea.
Or not well it works.
I think it's a great idea. I love this. I think it's very interesting when you taste first the Pinot, then Fiji, then you're going back to Schneidmann. I think the Pinot is on a different level already. It tastes different. Just right there. And this is for me always fascinating, that water has this impact. And this is what a lot of people always don't understand. They're always thinking, water is just a hydration product on the side. Guys, water is the most important beverage in our lives. It's not just a hydration product. It's not just put it in a water glass and I don't give a shit. No, water is way more important. And let's face it, we talked about this last time, and I want to say it again, and I will say it again and again and again. Water is life, and water is the most important beverage in our lives. And without water, nobody would be here. Nobody. No wine, no beer, no nothing. So let's treat water the right way. Let's appreciate water. That's very important. That's the reason we're doing the Planet Water H2KNow podcast. Cheers, guys. Okay, let's open some Hilden. And let's see how the Hilden water pairs with the Pinot Noir. And you can already hear it. It is slightly sparkling. It is the number one water for the Queen. So Queen Elizabeth is drinking Hilden water at the Buckingham Palace. That's the official water. And I'm always saying to my guests, be careful when you're drinking Hilden. Because when you drink too much Hilden, your arm suddenly will do like this or like this. You will like wink or wave like the Queen. So be careful there, please. Cheers, guys. Hilden from Great Britain with a TDS of between 310, 320. versus now Mr. Schneidmann. Pinot Noir.
Boy, it's crazy how it's like almost aggressive. The bubbles roll like it's like a semi-truck rolling over that thing.
Like pop rocks, you know?
Yes,
like
correct. It's like pop rocks.
And it's completely wiping out your palate. There's no, like when you had the Pinot first, Fiji water takes care of the tannin structure but leaves the flavor profile, right? So on your second sip of the wine, you start right on a higher level already, right? Here you have the wine, then you drink Hilden, and it wipes everything out. So you start over again, and it's like a back and forth instead of like a smooth wave, you know. And it's very interesting to see that.
Yeah, I think so too, and I completely agree with you, Stefan. I think Hilden is a great water, but not for Pinot. I think it's overpowering completely. It would be interesting to see with a Cab or Merlot. Cab, I think, would be too tannic. Merlot, maybe. Merlot, who's a little bit more on the jammy, fruitier side, who doesn't have so much tannic. Maybe Syrah as well, to see how that fits. And hey, Stefan, hopefully you had some fun here and you will join us again, because I think it was very, very interesting. Today, this wine and water tasting. And tell me, Stefan, so when people like to reach out to you right now, so how they can reach out to you? Because obviously this is the same with me and with Chance. We love when people reaching out to us, and we want that people reaching out, and we're trying our best, obviously. And please stay with me, guys. I'm trying my best to answer all the questions what you're giving me. It's not that easy sometimes, because I'm getting a lot of emails these days. And I'm not just getting your emails from the podcast. I'm getting emails, obviously, of water providers, people who finding me randomly, going on my homepage and all this kind of thing. So please stay with me when I cannot answer all your questions right away. I'm trying my best, obviously, but I'm working full-time, at least 12 hours every day at Patina Restaurant, so you can visit me there. You can ask me the question directly. This might be sometimes easier. But Stefan, how people can reach out to you?
Well, I like that you pulled up my Instagram picture there. So I just started a new page on Instagram called the Cooking Sommelier.
I love this.
Altogether, because I love to cook, as Martin said, for friends, family, my wife. And but I also have a homepage that's called s-j-photo.com, where I like to take pictures from, food and wine, obviously, underwater, aviation, and other pictures. So check that out. And
I love that you're saying underwater and then aviation right next to it. So explain a little bit here, underwater and aviation to me.
Well, food and wine is self-explanatory. Underwater, we are here in California. We have great access to the ocean. And, I'm a big fan of scuba diving and exploring, new parts of my surroundings, basically. And so therefore underwater pictures and travels I go. And when you go to the next one, aviation, I am a private pilot, so I like to fly around, flying to wine countries and whatnot.
Nice.
But, since I'm flying myself, I'm also very interested in other people flying. And
that is an incredible picture, huh? This is an incredible picture. So a little secret from my side, because you said underwater and you love scuba diving. Okay, so one of my biggest secrets as a water sommelier is my wife considers to me that I cannot swim. I think I can swim. My wife considers me that I cannot swim, because she used to be an Olympic swimmer. So my wife used to be, she was set for the 2000 Olympics swimming team for the German team. She got sick, she couldn't make it to the Olympic Games. But my life used to be she's still a very good swimmer, because it's always funny when we go into the gym, to the pool area, and then they're like this muscle guys, Hollywood guys right next to her, and they're checking her out, and I'm like right beside, because I'm a small dude guy, so like my wife is even taller than I am. So I'm a small guy, and I'm standing right next to it, and then this big guy is coming in. My wife is beautiful, she's blonde hair, like typical like German beautiful Fräulein, and she starts to swim, and these guys obviously want to like try to maybe hook her up or something like that. And then they start to swim, and she's like killing them in the pool, huh? Like pretty much killing them. And it's so fun to see this. And I'm like on my machine and I'm watching this pool area across this gym. And it's hilarious to see my wife like killing these huge dudes in the pool. But again, when Nancy's listening, I love you, my wife, and I understand. And I agree with you. Compared to you, I cannot swim. But Stefan, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being here today. We will definitely have you again because this was, I think, mind-blowing for me. I think for Chance as well.
Definitely.
What do you think, Chance?
For sure. This is crazy.
Yeah. And it's really fun. And you should, again, guys, do it at home. Buy some waters, get some wines into your glass, and try it for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's always the key. And please follow Stefan on his Instagram account. What's your Instagram account, Stefan?
The Cooking Sommelier.
The Cooking Sommelier? Okay, I will pull it back up here for a second.
Probably later somewhere in the descriptions.
Yeah, The Cooking Sommelier. And I will, I want to make sure I will later on in post-production, I will put in a little task on the screen with Stefan's Instagram account that you can reach out to him. And Stefan, you are more than happy as well to obviously answer questions, huh?
Absolutely.
Here we go. So Stefan is always here for you. Chance is always here for you. And obviously your water sommelier, Martin, is always here for you. Thanks again. That was a lot of fun. I think we killed 1.5 hours on the podcast these days. So we're getting longer and longer, so you understand. So when we have episode 100, we will have like 24 hours streaming here.
Big brother, yeah.
No, this will be a little bit too much. But again, thanks again for everybody listening in. Stay thirsty, be hydrated, and watch out for episode 3 coming up on Tuesday or Wednesday. And let's play our little song to the end, what we're always doing. Hopefully I can find it right here. It is. Here we go. Thanks again for everybody, and have a great day. And
see you guys.
Again, water is not just water.
Planet Water Podcast.